Hey guys, I've stressed in the past that you should invest money because if you put your extra cash in a bank account, it sits here, right? If you take your extra cash and buy something, oh yeah, I got extra cash, I'm gonna buy something. It's not worth anything. If you take your extra cash and invest it, it multiplies over time. And if you think about that, if you get that concept, eventually you'll be able to live or work less off of that money, right? And I'm saying that I'm trying to figure out how much money each person does, but we all have different lifestyles, right? For somebody, making $4,000 a month in interest may mean they never have to work again. And if you think about that and you think about how little you invest over time to get to that point, it's absolutely a no-brainer. Now, I understand the market is difficult for a lot of people to understand. And that's where today's video sponsor, Titan, is here to help, because Titan is a manager that manages the portfolio for you. And that's usually something that's reserved for wealthy people with a lot of money. Titan allows you to buy in as little as $100, and then you can add money over time. And I'm personally invested in Titan. I've got money in their flagship portfolio, and I think you should give them a try. Titan is the first investment platform for everyday investors that want their money actively managed by a team of experts. They offer 3 equity portfolios and America's first actively managed crypto portfolio. Titan's focused, aggressive, and proven strategies have continually beaten the market since inception, net of fees. They aim to grow your investments 15% annually, which would imply doubling your wealth every 5 years net of fees. You'll even see exactly how your money is managed through video, audio, and written updates on their mobile app. Join the smarter way to invest with Titan. All it takes is $100 to get started. So use my URL. It's titan.com/SSR. You're going to get your first 3 months of professional investment management fee-free. It's terrific, right? It's titan.com/SSR. I put a link right below in the description. All right, what's up everybody? Today we're going to talk about Turo, because Turo is one of my favorite topics because it's a little bit of an unknown. It's a little bit of there are deals to be had. And I've rented on Turo, I've gotten deals. I've also rented on Turo and gotten screwed, had misrepresentations of the car I'm getting, and I've always weighed the pluses and minuses. Like, sure, you can get a good deal, but a lot of the times that deal could come in the form of like, oh crap, now I'm stuck with this car, or you're not dealing with a company, you're dealing with an individual. Turo is a peer-to-peer car sharing network, not a rental company, so the protections that you're expecting may not be there. It's effectively you're paying your buddy to borrow their car. So this is a problem, and this is going to probably end up in litigation. A guy, Deshaun, I'll keep his last name out of it just because it's not relevant, follows me, and he was sharing his story about how he rented a car on Turo from New Jersey, drove it to Chicago, and was going to drive it back. He rented it for, I believe it was about a week. We're talking about an Alfa Romeo Stelvio. So that car comes in 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. And I think this is a 2-wheel drive car. I don't want to get too deep into the details. I just want to highlight the importance of certain things to prevent yourself from being in a situation similar to this. Now, and I'm going to be referencing my computer here, so if you see me diving in, it's because I'm referencing something, because there's a lot here. So he actually worked for a major car manufacturer, so he's familiar with the cars, he's familiar with like data logging, and when I say data logging, I'm talking about like keeping track of mileage and all sorts of stuff. He rented a car, an Alfa Romeo Stelvio. It's 2019 with unlimited miles, right? And I, for one, as a rental company, don't do unlimited mile rentals, because when you do, you open yourself up to lose money, right? I don't care who you are, what type of car. It could be a Pinto, it could be a Ferrari. If you rent with unlimited miles, your cost structure goes out the window, because there's nothing to stop somebody from renting something for, renting a car from Hertz for $700, driving from Key West up to Alaska and back inside a week. Yes, it's a lot of driving, but they're not violating any terms of an agreement when you give them unlimited miles. But now that car is worth significantly less, and it's probably due for service. It's going to cost more than that rental even generates to get the car back to where it should be from that guy's use. So I never do unlimited miles, and for that very reason. But that doesn't mean if you're doing a road trip, it may make a lot more sense to drive somebody else's car than drive your own, especially with an unlimited mile rental. So what he did was he rented a Alfa Romeo Stelvio 2019 to drive to Chicago and back. That's about 1,600 miles. he did a whole bunch of photos around the car, right? And this is one of those things that you have to think about, and just taking photos and like going around the car isn't so good if you're missing some key elements, right? The stuff that you definitely want to photograph, like the tires, are very important. Tires you want to get because it comes with a couple of pieces of information. It comes with the wear on the tires when you get the car, and also the brand and year and make of the tires to make sure they're all matching tires. Because if something happens, like if you crash a car, that could be a contributing factor, and a significant contributing factor, like it was in this instance, because Deshaun was driving to Chicago, and in Ohio, he hydroplaned, lost control of the car, hit a barrier, and damaged the car. Now, that's not the problem, right? He took the Turo insurance, which was like a maximum out of pocket of $3,000. And then he decided, he's like, all right, the car is still drivable. I will alert Turo. I will continue to drive to where I'm going. And then Turo said, okay, we're going to tow the car from there. So, okay, Deshaun just ended up flying back and had them tow the car from there. It all seems pretty reasonable, right? Damage the car, towed it back, get it repaired. They dropped a tow bill on Deshaun for $17,000. That's crazy. $17,000 to tow a car which drives from Chicago to New Jersey. And now what can you do? How do you argue that? Who like, show me invoices. Who in their right mind, when you can ship a car literally via airplane to Italy for the same money, who pays that for a one-day transport with a working car? This isn't a car that was like needed special handling. It wasn't which is inoperable in the towing world, so it costs more because you need a forklift or whatever winch to load the car. This was a car that he continued to drive after the accident, was drivable onto the truck, and they charged him $17,000 to tow it back. Now, they voided his insurance through Turo, right? This is the old gray area. They said that the vehicle was driven off-road and that they therefore voids the policy that he had. And he's like, well, I didn't drive the car off-road. I did 819 miles in the car, and here is a log of everywhere I went, and down to the mile. You can trace every mile. So not even like he was doing donuts in a parking lot or something like that. You can't say that the car is now voided. He crashed on a highway into a barrier, right? He, boom, hit the barrier, damaged the car. It's all consistent. So to say he was off-roading when there's absolutely no evidence that he was off-roading, and then voiding, so Turo screwed him by A, charging $17,000 for a tow, B, voiding the insurance, so he could have just written the check for $3,000 and been done with the whole situation and not cared whether they charged for the tow or the repair or whatever. And then on top of that, he ended up filing a claim through Geico, and Geico's like, I'm not paying $17,000 for a tow, of which $15,000 was mileage. So like, none of that makes sense. And who gets that money? Does the guy who owned the car get that money? Like, I don't know where that goes, right? There's a lot of sketchiness here, and Deshaun's sort of stuck in the middle of it. And I'd love to hear Turo's response to this. I'd love to hear a lawyer's take on this, because I'd like a lawyer to get involved and sort of put the screws here, because A, Turo should be covering it. He was driving it. It was a covered use. He was driving it on the road within the terms of his unlimited mile rental contract, which, yes, it's a peer-to-peer network, but the agreement that he has with the other driver, that he's allowed to do unlimited miles. So as much as that's like, well, you put a lot of miles on my car and I'm not going to make any money on this rental, that doesn't mean that you can then screw the guy in the end. And that's really what's happening here. So you've got the big tow bill. Geico denied the claim for they covered the damage, the $3,000, but they denied the claim for the $17,000 tow. And now Deshaun is having to deal with that. They tried hitting his credit card. They just said, like, hey, you know what, we're going to take that money from you. Thank you very much. And that becomes a problem. Like, they do have the authority. I have never done this in the rental industry. What we do is we take a security deposit, and that is sort of the limit as to what we can capture, right? I can't say I have the right to charge you whatever I want if it goes through, right? That doesn't fly in the world. You need an authorization to charge something. I can't be like, I think you owe me money. Or even if you do owe me money, I can't just take it. Except, and that's why hotels and everything, they can send you a bill. They just can't charge you. Turo tried to just charge him and take more money and take the $17,000. And that's really messed up because you shouldn't be able to do that to a customer and just withdraw funds willy-nilly. So there's a lot going on here. He's got full logs of everything. He's got the photos before and after. And in the before photos, you can clearly see, and this is where I said you're going to learn something here, always take pictures of the tires. He's got photos of the front tires where you can see there's plenty of life in the front tires, but the back tires are bald, like bologna skin. There's a wear bar on a tire. I've got nothing to help with visuals here, but once it gets down to the wear bar, it's smooth. And you have to replace the tires. Now you don't have any water dissipation, so as you're driving, these grooves that are normally channeling water aren't there. You're effectively driving on bologna skins, and when you hit any sort of water, you've now got no grip. You're floating on top of the water, and that causes the car to walk out and lose control. So I don't know how fast he was going at the time of the accident. He could have been going 20, he could have been going 70. I don't know. But I do know that if you hit water on a car with no tread, there's a very good chance that you're not going to be able to save that or correct that, and you're going to crash the car, which is ultimately what ended up happening here. And now Deshaun is getting the royal unlubed fist up the butt, which is not good. And I hope Turo makes it right. I hope Turo, I'm sure it's a small enough company, even though it's a big company, it's a small enough company that stuff like this gets back to them. The responses that they gave him, I can't buy it. Like the fact that they're claiming off-road use, you got to prove there's off-road use. You can't just say there's off-road use. The fact that the photos that he took weren't great, but you could still see the tires were subpar, completely subpar. All of this is pointing towards he should be suing them for giving him a car in a dangerous condition. You have a responsibility as a rental company, right? You should have a responsibility if you're leasing or loaning out your personal property to somebody too. And this is that whole gray area of like, well, Turo's not responsible. We can't maintain the cars. It's not our car. It's your car. But this is where you now take personal responsibility. Did the guy have proper insurance? Did he tell his insurance company he was renting his car? Right? All of this comes into play. And I feel like it's such a hodgepodge of like, Turo doesn't make sure that people have the correct insurance. Do they? I don't know. I haven't had a car on Turo. If they do, post it in the comments. But as far as I know, I don't think Turo cares. You're taking responsibility for your own vehicle and your own personal relationship. They've got no interest whether you tell your lender that you're renting the car, whether you tell your insurance carrier you're renting the car. That's why they want to sell insurance to you. So I don't know. This is a whole big ball of crap. How do you prevent it from happening to yourself? A, potentially don't take Turo. Because what happens if Deshaun shows up, he sees the tires are bald, he's counting on this car to leave for a road trip in a couple hours, and now he can't even take this car. What does he take next available? He takes something else that's completely overpriced or something that he doesn't want to take on this trip because he got there and the car wasn't maintained properly? A lot of people, when they rent out cars on Turo, they're just thinking about the money. Oh, right, let's get this out. They're not thinking about maintenance intervals, oil changes, scheduled services, tire inspections, anything like that. And that runs into a situation like this where now they should be liable if their car is dangerous, that they give it to somebody, and it shouldn't be the customer's responsibility to check for that, right? It's not my job to check your car to make sure it's safe for you to rent to me. And where Deshaun could have saved his butt even more is if he had actual photos of the tires, and then he could have confronted the guy and be like, look, you're giving me bald tires right now. I can't take it. I have to take it. I'll schedule to get tires in Columbus when I get there. It's got to be on your bill. Like, however that gets worked out, that's between them. But tires past the wear bars aren't safe. That's why there are wear bars there. That's why they exist. So that you know that in inclement weather, and this is why you go down to like places that never rain, right? Like Vegas or the desert in Scottsdale or something. People are driving on bald tires all the time because it doesn't rain. But as soon as it rains, people are crashing into everything because they have more grip because they've got surface area. But when it rains, hydroplane. And that's a problem. So I will let you know what happens. I will try to help Deshaun. If you're a attorney that wants to go after Turo or something like that. I don't know. I'll connect you with Deshaun. I think it's all BS. This is just another reason why you have to be careful who you go with. I don't know if he's afforded the same protections as he would be with a commercial company, renting from a commercial company. I don't know if Turo is on the hook for that. I don't know if he's got to sue the guy directly that rented them the car. I'm like, Geico covered the claim, and I think they should leave it at that. But now he's also got an accident on his record where he bought the insurance, so it shouldn't be on his record, so that's a negative on him. So there's a lot of negatives here to this instance where he rented the car that was unsafe, crashed the car, and now he's dealing with staring at a monster bill, which I can only assume is fictional, because it should be illegal for somebody that, it may be illegal for somebody to charge $17,000 to tow a car 900 miles. Simple as that. Rob Ferretti, thanks for watching. I'll let you know how this goes, and I will catch you next time.